So, these past 47 days have been truly some of the wildest of my entire life, and I'm going to explain why. But firstly, welcome. My name's Noah. I'm the founder and CEO of a charity called We Are Mobilise. I'm not sure if you would have seen, but there's been some stories about a man who's run all the way across Australia from Perth to Sydney. It's a record run, nearly 4,000 kilometres. He's done it in 47 days. Most importantly, Ned Brockman has inspired an entire nation. Ned set out with a goal to raise $1 million for those experiencing homelessness. He chose We Are Mobilise as charity partner, which we're so grateful for. And ultimately, the run ended up raising $2.5 million, which Mobilise will be able to funnel through towards those experiencing homelessness. And it's raised a platform and driven this conversation for change across the nation. So if you're interested in Ned's story, I'll leave a link up above after this video where you can check out a video where we really unpacked that. But now let's talk about the story of We Are Mobilise. At its core, we're a charity focused on providing functional care and assistance to those experiencing homelessness, while also driving a broader conversation for change surrounding the whole space. But before we explore who we are and ultimately what the funding from Ned's campaign will enable us to do, it makes sense to talk about the origin story. So like many of you, I'm sure, have experienced, walking through the CBD or crowded areas, we see people experiencing homelessness on the side of the street. However, there's not really a playbook. We're not really told what to do. Are you meant to look at them and say g'day? Do you drop money into their hat? Maybe you buy them some food. Or do you look away? It's a difficult but confronting situation. But I know ultimately we all feel the same way, that in a country as well off as Australia, why does anyone have to sleep on the streets? This was something I felt nearly 8 years ago now. And so I just wanted to explore and inquire whether there was something that we could all tangibly do. Called up a range of different organisations. Eventually a bakery got back to us. They gave us these big bags of bread. We had really no plan. All we wanted to do, I set out with one of my best mates, and we just started sitting with these people and just speaking to them and asking, hey, how are you going? What's been going on? Pretty quickly we realised, it's a bit funny now to think back, it shows how grassroots we were, but the big bags of bread that we had, there was uncut loaves in there. We didn't have a knife, we didn't have jam, we didn't have any butter, but we pretty quickly realised, even though people were like, we don't want this bread, we don't need any of it, they were like, just sit with us and just have a conversation. And we realized that it wasn't food or money that these people needed, but they described feeling isolated, disconnected, and really disengaged from society. I realized pretty quickly that, hey, we can all contribute time. That's something that we all have. So we took out an initial outreach team from there, and then another from that. Now the Mobilise mission has evolved. We've got monthly outreach teams heading out across a number of capital cities in the country. We've also got advocacy work that really focuses on pushing that conversation for change. We've seen it happen in so many different areas. Mental health is top of the list, where people are talking about it now. And we don't see any reason why homelessness can't be that next frontier. And then of course, that leads us to the story of Ned Brockman. So Ned's an incredible individual who just one day dreamed that he could change the world. That people experiencing homelessness was something that he was not comfortable with, and he wanted to see how he could make a difference. He ran 50 marathons in 50 days in 2020, and this year he wanted to go bigger and better. And he's inspired a nation, showing us all what is capable if we're willing to dream, but also if we're willing to put in the work and we refuse to give up. It's been an amazing story. Mobilise is now blessed with $2.5 million due to the generosity of the Australian people. We're obviously busy strategizing, planning, and thinking about how we can utilize these funds, but also the platform we now have to make the biggest impact we can for our friends on the street. So where do we head? First and foremost, we see the opportunity to continue to scale up our outreaches. We're rapidly trying to scale this up now to get more teams on the ground and ultimately to provide that functional care out there. Our aim is to really focus on that connection for change. That's our core mantra, that's what we do, and we do this through our conversations. It allows us to be informed about what's happening on the ground, to understand how our friends on the street are feeling, and also to get ideas about what we can do to make a more sustainable and longer term impact. And obviously on the other side now we've got the funds. Our longer term plan is to develop out direct giving pathways and really to build out a program that focuses more holistically. It's not just giving the funds out, though yes, that will be one component of it. We want to be able to provide the funds to those who need it most. But we're developing an initial pilot of a direct giving pathway that will include an employment pathway so individuals are able to get into work. They're able to get that support on that front, but also medical, legal assistance, potentially case managers to assist them with the housing component of the equation as well. And then Mobilise will help to provide funding for that. So people aren't worried about, oh, am I going to be able to pay my next bill? What am I going to need to sacrifice this week to be able to make ends meet? But we're going to provide that funding to them. So with the support of the rest of the programs, they're going to be able to hopefully have a pathway out of homelessness. We're really excited about this initial pilot. We're in the works now. Obviously, the joys of being a startup means that we can move quickly and see how things go, but we also do understand the responsibility that we have to get things right and to make sure that we do it right and properly so that this can be a sustainable and longer term plan. We don't want to just be here in the short term. We want to work with all of the other amazing organizations in the sector. We're speaking to many of them to see what we can do as a community and as a cohort to really make this tangible impact. There are so many amazing organizations out there, so we're going to be working with them as part of a broader solution for change. And I've got to tell you, we're very, very excited. This is the stuff of dreams, really, where you get this opportunity to make a tangible difference. This is something we've worked at day in and out. We've been a completely volunteer-run organization up to this point, and we've just had a community of really like-minded individuals who thought there was an opportunity to make a difference. And we always ask ourselves, why not us? And so from here, there's a lot of exciting things in the works. There's obviously a range of different program work streams that we're going to be developing out. If you're interested in social impact and entrepreneurship and all of those different components, let us know with a comment down below. We can do more videos on that space. Make sure you've subscribed as well so you don't miss the journey up ahead. But as we talk about it, I wanted to speak about one story in particular from our Mobilise outreaches that really does stick in my mind. So when we do our outreaches, our focus is on getting down to eye level as quickly as possible to speak to the person in front of us the same way you'd speak to a mate. I'd encourage you, if you have the opportunity, to get out there as well and have those conversations. You'll realize it's not as difficult, but also what we always see is there's so many faces to homelessness, and the people who are out there, they're not your stereotypical person who's, committed the bad choices. This is their fault, they're out there. Life happens, bad situations happen, and unfortunately the cycle of homelessness can be very difficult to break, especially when entrenched. But there was one outreach in particular that stands out for me. So I got down to eye level, I was speaking to someone who we'd just met, and as I was speaking to them, I remember someone just kept incessantly tapping me on the back. I thought it was one of my mates having a bit of fun with me. I was like, hold on, I'm obviously just speaking to someone I've just met, just give me a second. They kept tapping. Finally, I turned around, and as I looked there was this big hulking guy standing in front of me. He had tears running down his face. I was obviously very confused at that stage. And he said, I don't know whether you remember. And then my mind kind of went back to a few months before. And we were sitting on the train after an outreach. And we were obviously feeling motivated after everything that had happened. But there was this person who society would deem as undesirable. He was making a lot of noise, causing a ruckus. He was drunk. Families were moving down the other end of the train to steer away from him. But look, we'd just finished an outreach. We were obviously in a good mood. And so we went over. We just had a conversation. G'day, how you going? Talked about life a little bit. Handed over some jumpers and blankets. There was not too much to it, really. And I remember when we hopped off the train, she said, best of luck, good luck for the journey, and I hope you stay well. But then this guy standing in front of me said, I don't know whether you remember, but that conversation on the train was the first time in years that I actually felt like I was a part of society. He said it was the first time in a long time where people had come towards me rather than moving away. And then I realized I didn't recognize him because he'd gotten chubby, he'd shaved his beard. And he said, because of that conversation, that was the catalyst and reminder that I was worth something. And because of that conversation, I decided to get off substances and to really try and start a new change. And then he pointed to someone who was just laying there next to him. And he said, that there is my brother. And for as long as I can remember, he's been an alcoholic. However, due to my lead, he's now been clean and sober as well. And it always sends goosebumps down my spine when I think about that, because what did we do there? We didn't do much. All we did was have a conversation. But maybe that's where the magic is. As a society, we know how much better we are when we're interconnected, when we're working together, and when we work as a community. And we've seen this with Ned Brockman's run, who's managed to inspire a generation to really understand and believe in the fact that each of us can make a difference. Now granted, no, not all of us can run 4,000 kilometers across the country, but often change can be much more tangible. And we hope to continue to do that through We Are Mobilise. We're blessed to have this platform, but I encourage each and every one of you as well to think about how you can make that impact in your own life, whether it's with those closest around you in your closer circle, or maybe you've always thought about making an impact at a broader scale and thinking about that. Ned Brockman, take a bow, mate. You truly have inspired a nation, but you've also shown us all what is capable if we're willing to dream. At We Are Mobilised, we're going to be coming at this next chapter with the same passion, tenacity and resilience that Ned showed each and every day of that record run. But I think we all have that opportunity together as a community to try and push for a bigger change. Here's the video you can check out on Ned where we unpack the story and his run together. We'll speak again soon. A big thank you for joining us and enjoy the next video.